So in the previous videos, I've been talking about how we can use dev containers for isolating our development environment. And there has been a lot of interest in using an isolated development environment for performing agent-based programming over here, because we're going to give agent the intelligence, we're going to give them power to make modifications to the system too when we are using certain tools. And we also want to give them enough autonomy so that they can make changes to our system. But while the process is being validated, while we are testing and developing, if we want to restrict their access, the best way to do that is to put them inside a container, in a dev container, and pull a Python image or any kind of slim image from Debian or somewhere, create a Docker file, and then have them, make changes into that contained environment over there. So one of the things that such kind of dev container also provides is a cross-platform development environment, which means we saw all this happening in our Linux machine, but now I'm moving over to Windows 11 today, and everything that worked in the Linux environment will seamlessly work in our Windows environment too. So in order for me to do such kind of setup, what I've done as a prerequisite is I've already installed Docker over here. So Docker desktop over here using the WSL method, right? So we want the Windows subsystem for Linux, and I've already installed WSL over here, right? So which installs a Linux environment for us. This is the Ubuntu and Ubuntu 22.04 if I'm not wrong, and it gives us this WSL2 very nice Linux based environment to run Docker, right? So in your Docker, when you'll be installing it, just make sure that you have used the WSL2 based engine and not the Hyper-V that comes by default. So use WSL2 and you'll thank me later for doing that. Now that you have WSL2 based Docker running, you can install your Olama Docker image and it will run seamlessly. So do not, I haven't used so let's see, Olama install Windows. If you do that, then you do get an option to directly install Olama for Windows preview. I haven't done it. I like my Docker way of installing it. So all I did was, let me make this bigger. So there has been a request that my videos aren't visible because the resolution that I use is like a 1440p resolution. So let me make this bigger and let me search this, get Olama, like something like that, and then you'll get this particular documentation. And instead of using the Windows preview, we'll still go with the Olama Docker image right over here. And once you go over there, I just followed this command now. So I just ran this, then I ran this, and then I configured this driver and started the container, except that I also added restart always over here, a flag of restart always. And all this has been shown to you in the previous video that I have, and I'll link that in the description section over here. But once you have Olama running, once you have your Docker running, then what you can do is you can start pulling this particular project that I have, right? So let me go over here and let me copy the HTTPS link over here. And what I'll do is I'll create. So let me just go ahead and create a folder, YouTube project, something like that, doesn't matter. Just a base folder over here for us. And what I'll do is I'll copy this link cd into this, right? So now I am in this particular folder, and I'm gonna do a git clone for this repo, right? So let me go over here and git clone. Okay, so now that we did the git clone, this particular dev container CrewAI shows up over here. And what is this particular CrewAI container? Let me see if I can make this bigger. Apparently not. Let's change the view to large icons. It doesn't change the text, but anyway, what I'm trying to do over here is just making a dev container base project, right? So this particular is a straight pull from my base project over here, dev container CrewAI, and I'll be opening this particular project in my VS Code. So this project you have seen in my last video that I have made. I'm right now trying to open this in my Windows environment so that you can see the benefits of getting a project set up in Linux maybe, and then running it in Windows by the virtue of using dev containers, and also by the virtue of using Docker over here, right? So let's do this. CD, let's go inside and code, and let's open our Visual Studio Code over here. And I've made sure that I made this particular window big enough for everyone to take a look at. Now in our Visual Studio Code, the same thing that we did in the last video, I went to extensions, installed dev containers, and I think I optionally installed WSL2. I don't think we need this, but you may go ahead and install it as well. And dev containers is the only one that is absolutely needed for this purpose. All right. So now that we have opened the dev container over here, this project dev container CrewAI project over here, we see that these are the few files that we have set in place, right? Let me close. We don't need any Docker extension. So in these files, I went over this, what and why they are needed in the previous video. Please refer to that, and I'll make this video more focused towards showing you that this all just carries over to Windows, and also then I'll show you how can we use poetry over here, right? So we want to make sure that we can first run whatever we started with on the Linux machine, and then I want to show you how to do some more things to it on top of it. So let's see. If there is this particular test.py project, the entry point in a way, the Python file that we want to run, and what it is doing is it is taking this particular OpenAI base URL, which is our local Olama server. How do we know that? Let's open this. This is our Olama server that is running 11434, and I don't think I have Phi3 model. I think I have Llama 3 in my local over here. So let me Llama 3 in my local, and this key does not matter, it could be anything, and I've adjusted their base CrewAI project, and all that is in the previous video. The base CrewAI project I have adjusted so that it only has one single agent for our purpose, and let's run this. So in order for us to run it, we have to open this in a dev container. So this option reopen in container is what we have to choose. So let's do that, and once we choose that, it is going to try to build this container for us, right? So it is right now building the container using the requirements.txt file to get the CrewAI related dependency in there. And this is important. You see how it is getting the requirements.txt file to do all this, whereas we would want to do a different approach, a poetry based approach in further down the line in the same video over here, right? So let's watch this finish, which shouldn't take much time. I have a pretty powerful machine over here. So let's see, maybe about a minute and a half at the max, but it should get done pretty soon. Okay, it's almost done now, and we are ready. Okay, all right. So in this test.py file, we'll attempt to make a connection to this. So I want to focus on this a little bit. We have our Olama server running, and this new dev container that was just built also shows up over here as this dev container and whatever name it gave it, right? So our dev container is up, and by the virtue of the fact that we have in the dev container added this line run args network host, right? We should be able to connect to this. And this is the point I want to make over here, that we followed this approach in Linux machine, and it will get carried over to your Windows machine too if you choose to develop on your Windows machine. So let's do that. Let's run the Python file over here, and you will see that we did not see any dependency issues. And let me pull my task manager over here, and you can see that my GPU spiked up and I was able to get some results back over here. And in this particular CrewAI example, I have removed any tools, any dependency of going out to network. It is fully running from this Llama 3 model that is on our Olama server over here, right? So perfect. We are able to run our project from Windows machine, right? What we'll do is we'll attempt to run our same project and try to convert it into poetry based project, right? So how do we do that? How do we change this particular setup to a poetry based setup? So let's do that over here. So okay, all right. So I'll remove these two files. So these are the two files that need a change over here. So I'll remove these two files and I'll replace them with two other files that will serve the purpose for changing this to poetry. And we do not need the requirements.txt or set python environment.txt anymore. So let me just delete these two first. So delete and delete. We do not need requirements.txt anymore because we won't be doing the dependency management using the requirement.txt file, right? So the requirement.txt only had the CrewAI written over there because that was the requirements. We don't need that anymore. And we will open, actually the YouTube project was right here. So in this particular project in the dev container, now that we have these two files, we will replace them by a different set of files that I already have created. And I'm going to replace those two files with these files, and then we will take a look at them. Okay, so what I've changed is in the settings, I have changed line number 14 over here, that you will see Python default interpreter command is poetry shell -c Python 3, right? So this is one change that has been done. And in the Docker file, you will see that certain changes have been done where we are now using the pyproject.toml file, and we are using these two commands to do the poetry install and not creating any virtual environments over here because the Docker environment is our dedicated environment in which we'll be working. So by doing these two changes, our dev container needs to be rebuilt. Now there is a change in the dev container, and this is actually now looking for a pyproject.toml file where what is the context for this Docker file. So let's take a look. The context for this Docker file I have also changed. So in the previous dev container.json, the context was dot, which was this dev container folder. I've changed it now to /, meaning the context is the parent folder over here. So we'll copy over, one moment please. So in the YouTube project, dev container over here, a level up. So meaning at this level, we need to copy our pyproject.toml file, right? So let's open that pyproject.toml file over here, and it's just a simple name that I've given to it. But the thing that we need over here is CrewAI, right? So the CrewAI part of it is what we need. Everything else, that's fine. We can just use a sample template that I have over here. But the dependencies section, CrewAI is what we need, and this is what is a replacement of requirements.txt for us, right? So now that we have this in place, the dev container in place, Docker file in place, I'm saving everything just to make sure, pyproject.toml in place, and ideally once we rebuild the container, it should run the project without needing any other changes over here, right? So let's do that. Let's now click over here, and there's an option to rebuild the container. Let's rebuild the container over here and watch what happens. So it's rebuilding, installing dependencies. Well, I don't think it's installing dependencies yet. Oh no, it is. It is done. Okay, all right. That was very fast. Okay, so all that is done, and let's go over here and let's run this particular project, and let's take a look at our GPU spiking over here, which it is now going all the way to 100%, close to that. And this particular crew of a single agent performed its task. All right. So we have successfully converted our project to our, pyproject.toml poetry-based project now, instead of simple pip install, putting it into requirements.txt. But why do we even want to do that? We want to do it because if you see some of the projects that you'll find, they are based on poetry. So how do we take, let's say this particular CrewAI example, right? So this guy, who is the creator of CrewAI, very knowledgeable guy, and he has given us a lot of CrewAI examples to choose and to get started, and you go over here, you take a look, and then you see, hey, trip planner, this is something that I want to use, and you click on it, or take a look, and then you think, I have my dev container set up as a regular pip install requirements and all that, but this guy has it set up as poetry based setup, the pyproject.toml. And how can I make use of the dev containers for this project? And this is what I want to show you over here. So these will be the steps for you. So what you'll do is first go to your CrewAI Git repo over here, go over here, copy your CrewAI Git, HTTPS link over here. Then you can go to any particular folder where you wanna clone your repository, and the one that I have chosen is is this, but let me see if I can make the font bigger for you guys. Settings, font, probably 24. Save. Yeah, that's bigger than original, so good enough for me. Okay, so what I want to do is that I want to do a git clone of this particular repo over here. So this brings in the whole repo, right? And that's okay. It will bring in everything. Let's see, and cd CrewAI example, and you will see that all of the projects got in over here, but we are only interested in this trip planner, right? So let's go in there, trip planner, and if you see, this is the project that we are dealing with, and we have pyproject.toml file. It is a poetry project. So how do we make use of our dev containers over here, right? So this is how we'll do it. We'll first of all open code, Visual Studio Code. I will make it open this project over here, and it doesn't look pretty, so let's make it bigger. View appearance, I think. Zoom in. Oh, Control plus. Yeah, I could just do that. Easy enough. So all we need to do is to bring in our .dev container folder over here, and that .dev container folder will take care of everything else. So the easiest way to do it is we have our old project that we just created, this .dev container, and this .dev container is project agnostic actually. So we'll copy this and we'll paste it into our CrewAI example trip planner over here, right? So it shows up over here in trip planner. So we'll copy and paste it over here, and then we'll come back to our VS Code, right? So we just copied our 2 files from the dev container CrewAI example into this particular trip planner, and now you'll see that you have everything in place for you to start working. It will take the pyproject.toml from which path? From the path above over here, because you have specified the context as double dot slash over here. So context is this, and the pyproject.toml already exists over here. And you'll see that everything else remains exactly same. You don't need to make any changes over here, and you can start building this dev container. However, the only thing you need to keep in mind is that if you have already started any other dev container, there will be a conflict because you have this network over here. So what I usually do is I stop any of the previous dev container that is already running, which will give me an error, and that's fine. So I'm gonna stop this CrewAI dev container that was already running, and I'll close this CrewAI one, and I'll just build this particular one now, right? So this is our new trip planner one. Now, while it is building, so let's do a reopen in container, which will trigger a build. And let's take a look over here. Trust and everything is fine. We're gonna trust this. And it's gonna do a build and install and stuff for us. Nah, fine. We'll close all that. So it did the build for us, right? And that's okay. Now, if we run this, right? So our first target is to see if all the dependencies are resolved, which they are. So all dependencies are resolved in the context of this particular project, which is awesome. We do not have to worry about that. And you'll see that there is main.py, which is where the execution will start. In our case, the program will not execute because we do not have these keys in here, but we at least want to initiate execution so that we can see that CrewAI kicks in. And then if it shows any error message, that will be because we have not provided any keys over here, right? And if we want to run everything in local, I have already shown in the previous example, how can we change our OpenAI implementation over here so that it takes the local model instead of taking the model from the environment over here, right? So OpenAI API key, we would not need then if we use local Olama. But right now we just want to make sure that when we run this, it works, right? So let's click on this and let's take a look at our so okay, see, this has started running. So we have our we're traveling from X, we're going to Y, none, and I just want to make sure that CrewAI ran, which it is, right? So and none, right? And it will say that OpenAI API key wasn't found and all that, which was expected, and we are not worried about that. Our main thing was to make sure this poetry based project can run in our dev container, which it is doing right now, which is awesome. All right, guys, this is it. This is all I wanted to show you today. And hopefully by making the font bigger over here, that was helpful. If you have any comments or suggestions, please do give me in the comment section down below, and I will check in the code for everything that we have talked about in a repo. And I'll link that repo also in the description section. Thank you.